These are last year's top recruiting classes as determined by Scout.com. Texas followed by Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, and Florida. Campus Insiders continuing our recruiting rewind with our insider Pete Fiutak. Pete, a little too early, I think, to be definitive about a young player coming into the class in 2012. We're going to talk about the overachievers and underachievers. Let's start with the dreaded B word,
well,
the
like
bust.
you said, I'm not going to call these guys busts. I mean, it's way too early to call guys from last year and say they're busting out, right? But we need to see some more out of these superstars, starting with DGB, Dorial Green-Beckham of Missouri. Considered the be-all, end-all wide receiver prospect. Some are calling him the best wide receiver prospect of all time. 6'6", over 200 pounds, extremely athletic. You talk about Calvin Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald, Andre Johnson. He was considered right in that mix, and he still will be. He still can be. He just didn't do it right away. If you're that great a recruit, you've got to make the passing game fly. You've got to make your quarterback better. He didn't do it, had a few off-the-field problems. He still has to show that why he's the #1 overall recruit. The second guy, again, not a bust, redshirt. Let's wait and see what he can do, but Noah Spence out of Ohio State. #2 overall defensive end, considered an elite pass rushing prospect. Yeah, now it's his time to shine. He's got to step in on a line that loses all 4 of its starters. He's got to be a Big Ten superstar right away for Urban Meyer. The third guy on the list, again, not a bust, redshirted, but if your name's Barry Sanders, big things are expected out of you. Hey, Dad was great as a freshman, as a kick returner. Let's see what his son can do now.
All right, let's follow up with GreenBeckham. He didn't have an awful year, almost 400 yards receiving, 5 touchdowns. We mentioned the fact that he only had his quarterback, James Franklin, for half the season, so why label him on the bust side?
Well, again, not necessarily a bust quite yet, but again, who was Calvin Johnson's quarterback at Georgia Tech? Who was Larry Fitzgerald's quarterback at Pitt? You know, if you're that guy, if you're the NFL superstar in waiting, and a lot of the scouts were saying if DGB was able to go pro, he would have been drafted in the first 3 rounds last year. He's that big a talent. You're supposed to make your quarterback better, and it's not like Missouri has a bunch of chopped liver there at quarterback anyway.
All right, Pete, now let's move to the overachievers, guys that really weren't sought after out of high school but have made a name for themselves.
Kenneth Dixon from Louisiana. LSU didn't want him, the SEC didn't want him, but a lot of Sun Belt programs did. He ended up going to Louisiana Tech, set the record for most rushing touchdowns by a freshman. Now he's going to be the centerpiece of the new attack under the Bulldogs. Denzel Kindiche. His brother's got the bigger name, but he had the bigger game coming into last year. Phenomenal year for Ole Miss. Big-time terror into the backfield, great tackles for loss, great at getting into the quarterback. He's going to be one of the SEC superstar linebackers for the next few years. The final guy, I'm sorry, a punter. Yes, Tyler Williams going to Marshall. Nobody really wanted him, not really rated. Turned out to be a Ray Guy semifinalist, averaged over 45 yards per kick. A big deal for a Marshall offense. It was #1 in the country in passing. He's going to be one of the best punters in the nation for the next 4 years.
Hey, sometimes it's all about the field position, and Williams is able to get it done. All right, Kindiche has gone from a 2-star recruit to a freshman All-American, and that may not even be the biggest contribution to the program. He's trying to persuade and lure his brother, Robert, the #1 overall recruit in the country, to join him there at Ole Miss. So how did Denzel go from not being hardly recruited at all, not a big star, to now part of the big turnaround for the
Well, now he's turned into that pass rusher that they were looking for. They turned him loose right off the bat. So let's see if he can get the Kindiche brothers and going one side and the other. They're both going to be terrors if they go to Ole Miss. But for what he does, Denzel has been fine on his own.
Suddenly, Hugh Freeze putting that program on the map.
He's getting a lot of big-time talent.
A lot of attention. All right, for more about Pete's biggest busts and overachievers from the past 4 years, all the videos are playing on our website. Plus, don't forget to join us February the 6th for in-depth coverage of National Signing Day only on CampusInsiders.com.